The Pleiadians. Return of the Pleiadians. Earth Energies Reconciliation. 2016 September 11th. Website, www.openhandweb.org. Produced by Public OR.
Contrary to popular belief, no, Homo sapiens did not descend naturally from the apes. Anyone who doubts this might like to explore how the chromosome count mysteriously contracted from 48 to 46 and then propagated throughout the entire human species when such a mutation would have been an evolutionary disadvantage. There are countless other reasons that point to some blend of extraterrestrial genetics. Like the 223 genes that appear nowhere else in the human tree of life. In my knowing, Pleiadian consciousness was integrated to seed the original humans. But something intervened, ensuring that the emergence of the originals was far from an easy ride. It's vital for all humans wishing to ascend into the 5D to process convoluted past life karma within the lower Earth densities. Convoluted Earth history. Yes, I know my sharing is going to appear pretty out there to some. But maybe before directly hitting the back button, you might persist a while on the exploration, because it's not the actual facts of the past that matter, it's how they influence your current reality that does. That's what you carry forwards and need to work with. So I suggest maintaining an open mind and simply see how my sharing resonates at least in part. What do you feel? In my direct knowing of Gaia's past history, planet Earth suffered a controlling interdimensional intervention that goes back millions of years, an energy that tried to usurp and shape the trajectory of the planet. There's plenty of evidence that ET DNA found its way here through panspermia, the propagation of life through the universe via meteors. The raptor consciousness, that of greedy consumption, spread its virulent tentacles first during the age of the dinosaurs, until it was obliterated conveniently by a meteor. Gaia's need to unravel growing disharmony sent out a beacon, a primal scream, for realignment. In a universe of synchronistic interconnectivity, nothing, but nothing, happens by chance. But that wasn't the end of the raptor story. The consciousness itself hung around in the ether and spawned many new evolutionary forms, eventually infecting the very consciousness and DNA vibration of man. Just look at the level of conspicuous consumption which is now spiraling out of control. To benevolence a solution was necessary. Higher dimensional consciousness needed to be integrated as a bridge back to the divine so that mankind wouldn't completely lose himself in the density. And it was also necessary to work to create a thread of connection for the raptors, which some call the reptilian entities, all the way back to the source. The mission of the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians were tasked to share their DNA, through the ether via light vibration, and to ground higher consciousness here. It was far from an easy birthing. Original seedings struggled in the dense atmosphere, and following an early intervention by the raptor consciousness, were all but wiped out. I have personally met many Pleiadian star souls here who can recall being ambushed interdimensionally in this plane as they arrived and struggling to survive in the density. But eventually the seeding experiment worked. And since those early times, a rare old battle has continued in the very consciousness of man between the higher light and the lower consciousness trying to control the earth. The denser vibrational raptor consciousness had all but won, leading to a desperate decline of the earth and her biosphere, as she's been raped and plundered. But recent shifts of consciousness, like the major realignment of 2012, have ensured that the higher dimensional consciousness of man is once more in the ascendance, at least for some. Since that time, I've personally experienced countless realignments and unravelings in the field. It is these that are directly facilitating the acceleration of Gaia's great 5D shift. This is not some fixed timeline, it is more an event line, which must be followed in order to facilitate the most gentle and compassionate of shifts possible. Without the matrix literally being torn apart, we need to avoid such potential anarchy at all costs. There are countless star souls here from different constellations, both working on the side of the light and those on the dark. But you don't fight the dark. That simply creates more darkness. As much as practically possible, reconciliation needs to happen and reconnection to the light, so that wayward, fallen souls may also rise once more. Here's where humanity comes in. Reconciliation within yourself. Right at this moment I am experiencing the yearning for reconciliation, especially between the Pleiadians and those of the raptor consciousness. To some, it will likely seem an impossible task. But many will be buoyed by the incredible opportunity. One of light, etheric, joyful, playful, connected and trusting consciousness, think dolphin energy, with that of a violent, aggressive, controlling consumptive consciousness, think crocodile energy. How do you reconcile the two? Remember that ultimately nothing is separate in the universe. All is interconnected through fields of energy. These various vibrations will be influencing every human in different blended measures, and other frequencies too. You can fight and override the raptor consciousness for example, or you can drop that density inside yourself like the proverbial hot coals. But the light of the soul shines through all experiences. It is not simply about ditching. That just creates polarity inside yourself, which inadvertently separates you from the pure presence of the One. Each frequency must be confronted and realigned with this sense of rightness, reconnected to the source and harmonized within you. At the bottom of my article is a mini documentary on how you work with the raptor consciousness inside yourself. The realignment approach depicted in it is fundamentally necessary right now, in order to facilitate a smooth transition into 5D consciousness. A reconciliation is necessary with the convoluted earth energies of the past. Here's where the Pleiadian star souls now need to step back in. Return of the Pleiadians, rise of the divine human. I know that many Pleiadian star souls with whom I connect are currently finding it desperately challenging here in this density. There will be many feeling what I'm about to share, and don't even remember their original heritage. No matter, see what resonates. After eons of exile, a resurgence of Pleiadian souls is now gathering down through the densities toward the earth, purposefully to reconnect with Pleiadian souls embodied here. I have personally experienced this in recent work around the World Heritage Area of Avebury in the UK, pretty much the center of the world's crop circle phenomenon. Yes, we are being communicated with by different groups through the geometrical symbology. At the same time, the raptor consciousness is growing increasingly desperate, as it senses control is being lost. It's fighting tooth and claw through the ether, desperately trying to influence, grasping at last gasp straws, which is what we're witnessing in world politics and military interventions. But many are also ready for reconciliation. They sense the end is nigh, and that without realignment, oblivion through the galactic core awaits, as the old karmic reality into which they're bound is unraveled and peeled away. I've shared this in the book Divinicus, Rise of the Divine Human. Without understanding what the heck is going on, many will feel the heightened discord of denser lower vibrations and higher benevolent ones within their own being. That is assuming you haven't simply popped out of the denser vibrations and are distancing yourself in the higher ones, as is frequently the case. No, that's not the way to ultimately solve this problem. The only way out is through. We must get into the lower densities and behaviorisms, inside ourselves, and realign them, in ways explained in the video below. Building bridges with the Christ consciousness. When you work with this internal realignment, you're sending out a vibration, a beacon, especially through those denser, controlling, frequencies of the field saying. You don't have to manipulate and control any longer. Control does not ultimately succeed in a universe moving to nirvana, which is balanced harmony in all places. It's vitally important not to make the denser energies wrong. Think teenager, and no matter how distorted they clearly are, even when they swear black is white, to make them wrong is to create division and polarity, the very opposite of what we're working to achieve. We must find much bigger hearts. We must be accepting that everyone has a truth that needs to be honored. Build the bridge by accepting and honoring the other's reality before you share what you feel to be the higher truth, remembering that relativistic reality is always a perception. There is no absolute right and wrong. What I'm speaking of course, is the Christ consciousness. It's a passionate energy that is unconditionally accepting of all, and then works to blend with the higher flow, traversing the Red Sea of human karma before ascending into the fifth density. Whilst I was in Avberry several times recently, working to help reconcile these misalignments of tribes, I felt huge waves of Christ consciousness coming through me. It saw it as a way of bridging the higher light of the Pleiadians with the lower density of the Raptor. I could literally feel that taking place inside myself. Working together, inside ourselves. I know what I'm saying will be misunderstood by many, laughed at by the still ignorant, but if merely an essence of what I'm saying resonates, then it may well provide you clues as to how to work with convoluted eddy currents of energy inside yourself. Confront, integrate and realign the Raptor consciousness in your lower chakras. Feel the infusion of Christ consciousness through the middle densities, especially the heart. Breathe the higher consciousness down into the heart region and find reconciliation. Send that realigning vibe out through the field to inspire as many others as possible. I witness this process naturally beginning to occur. But these are early days yet, and more are needed to help accelerate the process by bringing attention to it. You don't necessarily have to understand completely or agree with my sharing. But if you do feel some of these convolutions of tightness of which I speak, then do allow my sharing to inspire you to work with them. In this way, I do believe you'll find a growing sense of integration and inner harmony within the tumultuous shifts going on. Work with it, inside yourself, and together we will succeed. Here's that video to help you.
A link to the video mentioned in the article can be found down in the description box.